let's talk about eating and boundaries. Hey, my name's Malaika and I'm on a journey to lose 200 pounds and hopefully encouraging you to reach your goals along the way. I wanted to talk about types of eating and boundaries. Go check out this video right here by Angel over at Healthful Choices. She did an awesome job explaining stress eating and emotional eating and how she discovered that was something that she struggled with. But she does a great job of explaining what it is, and she gives you some great resources to kind of help you overcome that and really explore that if you think that might be an issue for you. So definitely go check out her video over on Healthful Choices. Angel is also on a weight loss journey. She is doing amazing. She's a runner and she has really great videos. So definitely go check out her channel, say hi and root her on. So I was doing some research on weight loss and Bible studies, and I came across this blog post, and she gives several different types of eating and examples, and I thought it was really great and I wanted to share it with you guys. So when we start our weight loss journeys, we set up certain guidelines or rules that we want to follow to help us lose weight. So she goes through several types of eating where we tend to break those rules or guidelines that we set for ourselves, and then also gives some questions around that to help us explore a little bit more about why we're doing that. So I thought it was a really great blog post. But I'm going to go through some of these types of eating, and I want you to see, like, where do you fall in here? There are a couple that I recognize that I do. So if you're brave enough, go ahead and put it in the comments and let us know which of these types you tend to fall into. So the first thing she mentions is careless eating. So this is when you're just saying it's just one bite. Like, it just doesn't matter, it's just one bite. And if you set up guidelines for yourself, like if you've seen any of my other videos, you know I don't restrict any foods except soda. And so because I know that could potentially trigger me getting back into that habit of drinking soda again. And so it would be me going to the store and or whatever, or maybe if the kids had a soda and just being like, it's just one sip. I'm just gonna have just one sip. Knowing that I set up this guideline for myself to not have soda, but I'm trying to allow myself to break that guideline, or she calls them boundaries, to break that boundary by saying, oh, it's just one bite. So if you know that something is a trigger like that for you, you may not be able to even allow yourself to have that one bite or that one sip. And so when you are practicing careless eating, that's when you're allowing yourself to go ahead and break that boundary, because you're just justifying it by saying, oh, it's just one bite. There's also indulgent eating, where you're just like, I just don't want to follow my boundaries. I don't want to follow the guidelines that I set for myself. I'm just going to have this and enjoy it. I don't care. There's also entitlement eating, and that is when you're telling yourself, I deserve this, whatever it is. So maybe I deserve this piece of cake. I did so good, I stayed in my calories. Or maybe like, I deserve this piece of cake because I just got that promotion at work. You know, whatever the thing is, you're entitling yourself to break the guidelines that you set for yourself because of XYZ. And then there's failure eating, and that's when you're like, oh, I already messed up. I already broke my guidelines. I might as well just go ahead and just eat whatever I want because I already messed up. It doesn't matter. And I have a feeling a lot of people tend to do this. So I talk about that in this video right here, and we really want to avoid that snowball effect of, you know, letting one failure lead to another and lead to another. We really need to get to a point where we can just cut it off and just start over again, and start over immediately, not the next day, not next week. Start with the very next meal so that you can get right back on track. So with justification eating, that's when you will try to justify why you're eating something, basically kind of lying to yourself, but trying to make you feel better about eating it. Like, oh, I'm just eating this because it's a part of my lunch. Or you may be saying like, oh, okay, this is within my calories. It's only 200 calories. I'm going to eat it, when you know it's really 250 calories, not 200. So you're trying to justify why you're eating what you're eating, but really it's really telling like little lies to yourself. She gives other examples of types of eating, but the last one that I want to mention is good food eating. And that's when you're like, hey, that looks good, I should eat it. That could be like, maybe it's a really good looking dessert or a really indulgent looking meal, and you decide that you want to get it and you totally forget about the guidelines that you set, but because it looks good, you want to eat it, and you decide to go ahead and do that. So that's some of the different types of eating that she mentions in the blog post. And like I said, there are some other ones as well, so you might want to take a look at it. The link will be down in the description. So what I also want to do is give you some questions to ask yourself when you practice these types of eating. If you've seen my videos before, you know that I don't really restrict any type of foods. I just work off of a calorie deficit. But even with that, I could still practice some of these types of eating and go outside of my calorie range. And I'll be honest and let you guys know which ones I typically do. For me, it might be good food eating because I love to eat out. And so if I see something that looks like a really good meal, then I will go ahead and get that meal. I do try to make sure I'm staying within my calorie range within that meal, but you guys know sometimes you don't always get the nutrition facts for restaurants, or if you get them, they may not be accurate, so there's a chance that I could be going out of my calorie range. But I will typically just go ahead and get it regardless because it looks really good. The other type of eating I tend to do is indulgent eating, where I'm just like, I just do not feel like eating in my boundaries today. Like, I'm gonna eat what I want, you can't tell me what to eat, and I tend to try to rebel against my own self in that way. And so that's the other type of eating that I typically tend to do. So let me give you a couple questions that you can ask yourself and kind of work through, so that next time you are maybe thinking about going outside of the guidelines that you set for yourself, you can sit down and really think if it's the choice that you want to make. So one of the things you can ask yourself is, if I were to eat this right now, or if I were to eat whatever I wanted whenever I wanted, what would I probably weigh right now? Or maybe what would I weigh in a month from now if I just always eat whatever I want whenever I want? And then ask yourself, is that okay with you? Because maybe it is. But then if it isn't, then reevaluate why you want to go ahead and break the guidelines that you set for yourself. So if you've already ate that thing or drank it, whatever it happens to be for you, then obviously we can't go back and change that. So just think to yourself, what's the next best thing for me to do right now in order for me to reach the goals that I have set for myself? And lastly, just think about, is my life better or worse with the guidelines that I set up for myself? And really sit and think about that, and think about the goals that you have, the plan that you have to get to that goal, and think like, is this going to make your life better or is it going to make your life worse? You might want to journal some of these things down, and you can revisit them as you are faced with these different types of eating. But she does also give you some other examples and questions that you can ask yourself, specifically revolved around the different types of eating. So you might want to check that out if you're ever faced with these situations and you're trying to figure out how to kind of push forward and get yourself back on track. So if this video was helpful at all, make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to follow my journey to lose 200 pounds. And I hope you guys have an amazing day. I'll see you later.